guys, and welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a female pants. So if you don't know how to make a pants, at the end of this video you should be able to do that. If you are new to my channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed, just hit on the subscribe button and then the notification bell to get an update. And I want to say thank you to all of my old and subscribers also. I appreciate you guys. So I just want to tell you guys that October and registration for October online classes is ongoing. So I'm going to drop my number on the comment section. So just send me a WhatsApp message if you're interested in that class. So let's just get started, guys. Okay, the first thing, I'm going to be imputing the lines now, and the first thing I'm going to do is the full length of the trouser of this pants. So I'm using 2 inches for my band, so I'm just going to take the 2 inches up like this, and then the full length of my trouser is 40 inches. So I'm going to measure my 40 inches like this, and then I'll add 2 inches to hem it. So that's the first line here. So my tape is going to be placed like this, and then the crouch my hip line, I'm going to be making use of 8 inches for my hip line. You could use 8.5. So I'm just going to use 8.5 like this. And then my crouch and depth. So in measuring out your crouch, you just sit on a flat surface and then measure. So this is my crouch line. And then the next line that I'm going to measure now, that I'm going to impute here, is my knee line. So I'm going to make use of 19 inches for my knee line. That's like my thighs. That's from this point like this. So this is it. So the first thing I'm going to do now, so I use my hip measurement. That's what I used to fold it, and added 5 inches to it. So I have my fabric is folded at 15 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to come to this and top point. I'm going to measure out 1 inch. So this is just like standard, like my own standards really. So I'm going to measure 1 inch from this point like this, because I'm just trying to curve out the shape of my trouser. And then I'll come to my knee point like this. I'll measure 1.5 inches. So I'm going to connect this line to this line. And so I'm just going to come like this to the end of my hip line. I'm just going to do this. So you see, I'm not removing anything from the hip line point. And then I'm going to, like, you see what I'm doing? I've slanted it to this point, just like your curve when you are making your skater. And then for the down part, depends on how and the type of cut you actually want. So for this down part, you could decide to use between 1.5 inches and 2 inches. So now I'm just going to use my straight ruler to connect it together, because I want it to be straight. So like this. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to impute my measurement, and in imputing my measurement, I'm going to make some explanations to you. For your waistline, you divide your waist measurement by 4. And then you divide your hip measurement, because this is my hip line, and then this is our crouch line, this is the waist line. We're using the waist for the top because we're going to be adding a band, and then this is the knee point. So on this hip line, we divide our hip measurement by 4, and then you add between 1.5 to 2 inches. For your crouch line, this is where you're going to be imputing your lap measurement. That's, you measure the top of your lap, that's this full part of your lap. You divide the measurement into 2. You don't divide the lap measurement, don't divide into 4, you divide into 2. So, and then you add like 2 inches allowance, or 1.5. And then the knee measurement depends on how, if you want a fitted trouser, so you divide the knee measurement also into 2. So this one is divided into 2, this 2, and then these 2, they are divided into 4. And then the down measurement also you divide into 2. So now I'm just going to start imputing them now. So for my waist measurement, I'm using 8 inches, which is 32 divided by 4. So I'm going to start measuring from this point. So you see, I'm measuring backward like this. I'm not measuring from this side. So from my line, I'm going to measure 8 inches. So this is my 8 inches. So I'll use 1.5 inches as my allowance. So this is my 1.5 inches. So I'll come to my hip line. My hip measurement is 40 inches. So I'm going to measure 10 inches like this for the 40 inches, and then I'll add 2 inches allowance to this. So for my lap and measurement, the lap measurement that I'm making use of is 12 inches 24. So this is my 12 inches, and then I'll add 2 inches as my allowance. So these are my lines now. So these are my lines like this, and then like this. So the next thing I'm going to do now, in order not to confuse you, I'm just going to mark them like this. So I'm just going to curve it out. So you see the 3 lines. These are the original ones, and then these are the allowance. So I'm just going to mark them out like this. So we have our crouch already. So the next thing I'm going to do now, from those points now, I'm going to measure my knee measurement. So like I said, the knee, it depends on you and what you actually want. So for the knee, like I said, I used 11 inches. So for this crouch and allowance, I'm going to use 2.5 instead of 2 inches. So I'm going to make use of 2.5. So but you could use 2 inches if you want to, if you want it to be very fitted down there. So I have my knee measurements now. So the next thing, I'm going to come to this and down part. So I'm going to use 13 inches, which is 6.5. So this is 6.5. So I'm going to add my allowance to it. So I'm just going to add another 2 inches allowance. So from this midpoint, in order for me to shape out my trouser properly, I'm going to use 9 inches for this point. So I'm going to measure this point. What I have here, I have 8.5 here. So I'm just going to increase it by 1 inch rather, from this point. So the essence is just for me to get out a good curve. So I'm just going to try and blend all of them together like this, in order for me to have the shape of my trouser to come out properly. So from this point, I'm just going to come like this, and from the crouch point like this, and then I'm going to blend this. So guys, you can see what I have. So this is just as simple as possible in cutting out your trouser. So this is the front part. So I'm just going to rule them all properly with my ruler now. So guys, you can see how simple and easy this is. So this is the front of our trouser. So I'm going to cut it out now, and then we'll use this piece to cut out the back. It's really simple and easy making your female pants. So this is it. So I'll fold the other piece together. Okay, so I have the back and piece folded into 2 again, just like we did with the front piece. So I've placed the front one on top of the back. So I'm just going to do some adjustments to it. So I just want you to watch carefully. So from this point, I'm going to be slanting and doing my waist and slant. The essence of this waist and slant is to enable this tummy to sit properly. So you could use between 1.5 to 1 inch for somebody that does not have a big tummy, but somebody that has big tummy, use 1.5. So I'm just going to mark it from this point like this, and then I'm going to slant it. I'm just going to slant it like this. So I'll cut it out first before we continue. So I have that out. So the next thing I'm going to do now, from this point, remember, because of the 1 inch that I took out, I'm going to add it back on top for the back like this. So I'm going to add it. So from this point now, we're just going to slant to this point. So this is what I'm going to do now. So now you are going to extend your crouch part like this, but we're still going to measure. So we're going to make use of, you could make make use of between 2 inches or 1.5 for your crouch measurement. So that's to extend the back crouch like this. So I'm making use of 2 inches. So I'm just going to come like this. So I'll use my curve. I want to get it out perfectly well. So I'm going to curve it now from this point now. I'll curve it to this point back like this. So from the down part, I'm going to add 1 inch to the down part. That's for the back. For the back on, I'm going to add 1 inch. So you could use half an inch, you could use 2 inches. So it depends on how fitted you actually want your pants and trouser to be. So from this point like this, I'm just going to make use of 1 inch like this. I'll make use of 1 inch. So I'm just going to move this piece now. So I have this point already laid out. So I'm just going to move this to the 1 inch in order for me to get out my shape, to get out the shape properly. So from the 1 inch point, I'm just taking it like this, and then I'll now shift it back, and then connect it to this point. So this down, the up part is 2 inches, and then as I'm coming down, I'm reducing it to 1 inch like this. So you could use half an inch, like I said. It depends on how fitted you want your pants to be. And then because of the back that, so the waistline of the back, I'm going to increase it. I'm just going to add 1 inch to it like this. So I'll cover out this point like this now. So I just added 1 inch to it, even though I'm doing freehand. I just added 1 inch to it like this. The 1 inch is just because if you want to add that to the back, but if you don't want to put that, if it is a stretchy and fabric, you don't need to do this. So I'll just blend it up to the hip point like this, and then I'm going to cut out. So guys, the essence of adding this 1 inch allowance to the back is because the back of the trouser of the pants is always higher than the front. So that's just the essence of adding this extra 1 inch to it. So this side, we are going to cut it out straight. We're not adding any allowance on the hip part. The only part that we're adding the allowance to is the up part, which is 1 inch. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to insert and just put a notch here for the dart. So I'm just going to measure from this point. That for the back and part. If you want to add a dart to the front, you could decide to do that. But I chose not to do it on this trouser because I'm going to be adding a zipper to the side. So, but because of the allowance that I have on it, so you necessarily don't need extra zipper allowance for this, but you could decide to do it if you want to. So I put the notch for the back dart. So the next thing I'm going to do before I start stitching, I'll cut out a band. So you use your waist measurement to cut out a band, and the band, you make sure it's your measurement, and then you add about 2 inches extra allowance. So mine is 32, so I'm going to be cutting out a band of 34 inches. And then you remember I actually used 2 inches initially when we were taking the full measurement. So I cut out a band of about 2.5, that's 2.5 inches. So the half inch I'm going to use to stitch, and then it's on fold, so when you open up it's about 5 inches. So the next thing, I'm just going to go over to the machine and then we'll start stitching. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay guys, so we're going to start stitching now. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to join on the crouch, the 2 crouch, that's the back crouch and then the front crouch. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to join it first. Okay, so I finished joining the crouch, so I'm just stitching the dart. That's for the back dart now. So this is the back and then this is the front. So guys, you can see our trousers were almost done, so we're just going to take it like this now and place them together. So the next thing, I'm going to take on the front crouch and then the back crouch from the under. I'm going to place them. Make sure you place them together. So I'm going to stitch to this side and then stitch to this side. So you can decide to start it from straight down, but it's always better for you to put it from here and then stitch down and then stitch the other side. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm just going to start from the center together like this. Okay guys, so the next thing I'm going to do now, you see our trousers were almost done. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to choose where I'm going to insert the zipper, if it's the right side or the left side. So you could decide to choose anywhere. So before then, I'm going to seal it up, and then before I open the side and then fix the zipper. So before then, I'm going to take my final measurement. I'll measure the waist and measurement, which I'm going to divide by 2. So this is the center of the back. So I'm going to start measuring it. What I want for this back is actually 16 inches, which is 32. So I'm just going to mark it like this. I'll stitch one side first before I go back to the other side. And then for the hip measurement, which is 40, so I'm just going to put my tape here. I'm using 20 inches. So this is the measurement here for the hip. So for the thigh measurement, so I'm just going to come down below the crouch and point, and then I'm going to measure the thigh measurement, and then I'll come to the knee point also, and then measure the knee measurement. So with all this measurement now on one side, I'm going to stitch it. So I'm just going to stitch it down, and then when I come to the down part, that's the round arm, sorry, the round and leg measurement, I'm going to use the measurement that I want, which is 13. I'll divide it into 2. So I'll measure, I'm going to use it to stitch this part. So I'm just going to follow my lines and then stitch it all out, and then do the same thing to the other side. So I'm just going to hold it like this, because you know the back is bigger. So I'm just going to hold them into place, making sure that they are the same like this, and then before you start stitching. So I'm going to do the same thing to this other side now. So I'm just going to measure it and repeat and the whole measurement all over again. Okay guys, so we're done joining it. So the next thing I'm going to do now, before we fix our zipper, we're going to attach the band. So I'm just going to open it like this. So I'll start fixing my band now from this point, just the way we fix our skirt and zipper, our skirt and band. Okay guys, so you could see, so I finished stitching up on my band. So the next thing that I did was I just opened up the zipper allowance and point, and then ironed it down. So to the point where I want to fix, where I'm going to be fixing the zipper. So I've ironed it and then top stitch on this point so it doesn't open. So you just cut out the rope. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to be fixing the zip. So I'll bring this together like this. You see what I'm doing? So you see that the zip is covering. So I'm using the two side of the fabric to cover it up. So at the end of the day, you make sure that the band on top like this, both of them they are sitting on the same point. So one don't need to be up and the other one down. So I'm going to tuck this one in also from this point. So you remember I stitched it initially, so I'll just open it up and then tuck it in and then top stitch, and then come back, and then I'll hem the down part of my trouser, and then come back and show you the complete trouser. Okay guys, so I'm so done with the trouser, the pants, like some people call it pants trouser. So I'm so done with it. So you could see it really came out so well and beautifully well. So you could see, let me just show you the back. So this is the back. So this is the side and zipper that was added. So you could see how comfortable it is. So guys, I'm so happy. It came out really fine and well. So if you find this video helpful, so look at the crouch, it came out perfectly well. If you find it helpful, do not hesitate to just drop a comment for me on the comment section. I'll be so happy for you to comment. Yeah, and then you could share this video with your friends, with your loved ones. So if you have not subscribed already, subscribe, like the video, share the video. I'm just going to dance.